Global Podcast. This is episode 14, and I am once again your host, Nick D'Orazio. I am the Director of Corporate Strategy at Inven Global, and my trusty co-host, Eric Gindele, joins us once more. Hey, Eric.
What's up, Nick? How's it going?
Dude, I should ask you, how's business? How's managing the business?
Business is booming. You know business.
Business is indeed booming. I was trying to think of another B word, but I couldn't. But we do have a special guest with us on this podcast. It is none other than our partnerships manager, Kelsey Remige. That's how you say your name, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
For some reason, I've never said your last name. I was like, Kelsey Remige?
No, it's a long story, but I grew up on Remige, but it's probably Remige.
Remige.
Because I'm French, but
I see.
But yeah, I don't know. So you know what? Honestly, whatever goes. So it's all good.
So
but yeah, I'm glad to be here.
This is Kelsey's first time on our show, and she works for Inven Global. She is our a partnerships manager. So Kelsey, can you give a quick rundown? What does that mean? What does the partnerships manager do at Inven Global?
Yeah, so for partnerships at Inven Global, it's quite a task because usually for IGEC, our big event every year, we grab people from all around the world in esports to help put together panels and spread the most information that we can that we feel is useful to the esports landscape out there. So I do a lot of outreach there. I do a lot of outreach to sponsors and companies to help make our events big and grand and just keep the company running. So it's a lot of emails, a lot of talking, but it's fun. And honestly, it's kind of fun. So
yeah. In other words, everyone likes Kelsey the most.
No,
everyone in esports like Kelsey the most, other us. So
I have to be likable.
It's true.
That's
it's true.
Job.
It's part of the job. So we are super thrilled to have you here. And Kelsey, as our guest, you have to play by the rules every day before we start this podcast. Well, each episode we talk about what games we're playing. So I will start. I have been playing tons of Street Fighter Third Strike. I've said this many times. I think Third Strike is the greatest Street Fighter game ever made, and I have recently I figured out how to download a Fightcade, which is a GGPO client that allows you to play all sorts of classic fighting games with no lag at all. It's so nice. And we're actually going to talk about that later on the podcast, why lag is so important. But it's so nice. I've been getting better and better, but man, let me tell you, the guys playing at Fightcade, these are killers. Some of the best players I've ever played, and I think it's too because of the quarantine. I know for a fact that there's pro players playing on the client, and it's because we're all just sitting at home. So I've had tons of fun doing that, and I also really want to buy Animal Crossing. I can't find a Switch anywhere, or at least one for a decent price. So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to solve right now. So yeah, those are two wildly different games in terms of esports potential and feel, but those are the games that I'm kind of into. Eric, what about you? What games are you playing?
I've pretty much just been trying to get through Final Fantasy VII Remake. I got through chapters 11 through 15 last night. It's good. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm actually so curious. Do you think it lives up to all of the hype that I was giving it now that you're playing through it more?
I definitely don't think it's perfect by any means. I think a lot of the side quests are pretty lame, MMO kind of quality, where you're just kind of doing the same thing, go find the 5 kids running around the town, or just go straight back to this area that you just were and fight a single mob of enemies and then come straight back. I think that stuff is kind of lame. I kind of get tossed up by the combat system a lot more than I'm willing to admit.
Really? It kind of trips you up?
Yeah, just against aerial enemies in particular. I just got through an entire sequence where I just had Tifa and Cloud, who are just melee people, and just trying to, get enough AP to cast magic and stuff was a huge pain just because.
Okay, so I totally understand that. That's pretty much the most common complaint I've both seen and felt myself. Now, again, I don't play the game because I'm a fake gamer boy. I just watch speed runs like constantly, and yeah, that's always the worst part, trying to hit the enemies in the air.
And then, yeah, I mean, like, my last major gripe would just be some, like, padding issues here and there where, they probably didn't have to spend all this time in, like, the first 5 hours of the main game if they really didn't want to. With all, like,
service.
Yeah, I mean, all the, like, crevice, like, crawling and stuff that you do in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And I've heard that the ending is kind of polarizing, and I kind of get that sense with all the spooky ghosts and stuff that they've inserted in there. So I'm curious which side of the fence I'll
okay.
on that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I won't even ask what other games you're playing because I know it's Animal Crossing. You're still addicted, right? You're still in the church of Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I'm doing all my terraforming now. Just trying to get everything the way that I want it to. But yeah, it's good.
So speaking of which, Kelsey, I've heard that you too have joined the cult. You play Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
You worship turnips and bells, right?
So I've actually never bought turnips. I'm usually, I don't know why, like, I always, so I caught on to everything really late. I had major FOMO because all my friends played Animal Crossing back in the olden days, and they were all super excited. I've never played. I usually just stuck to my Mario games on Nintendo, so it was very, like, niche for me, and so I was like, oh, like, I'll try it out. So I didn't get into buying turnips, and then when I did once, I just never got good prices, and no one had their island open, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess, like, I just wasted a bunch of money, but but it's nice now because I just hit a 3-star island, and so now I can terraform, and so I've been trying to figure out what to do there, but
terraforming.
It's funny because I'll be just chilling, and then my roommate will come up and just be like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I'm planting trees, bro. Like,
so according to Eric, that's when the game really, like, comes alive, right?
Yeah.
I
think you just have more, like, freedom,
Yeah, and I feel like everything that I did up to that point was kind of null and void when I had the ability to, make rivers wherever I wanted and cliffs and stuff. Like all the bridges that I built beforehand, I just deconstructed. I like cleared the entire landscape of rivers and like any elevation and just started from like a blank slate. So
nice.
It was cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that I was playing Valorant like crazy, and I guess Kelsey, are you still playing Valorant? Because I've kind of cooled down a bit. I've kind of cooled down on playing Valorant.
Yeah, actually, I've started to play a lot more by myself. I was playing a lot with my friends, but I've just insta-muted every time I've gone in because I know I'm bad. Valorant is my first FPS game because usually I get pretty bad motion sickness. And somehow Riot Games has done it, and I've only gotten sick once in the couple weeks that I've been playing, and that also had to do with like a lack of sleep. So I don't really attribute it too much to the game, but no, I still love it. I'm trying to pick up Jet now. I was a Cypher only chick for a while, and I still love Cypher, but Jet's pretty fun, honestly. The fact that her jump can just hop on top of roofs and whatnot, and just there's so many cool little things you could do. And I'm terrible too, so none of it works out. Like her ults, I think I've never executed properly, for sure. But
so we had an idea. So at Inven Global, part of my favorite thing to work with the team is we're always trying to think of fun content ideas and things. Now we did have an idea in which there would be a show match between Eric and Kelsey that I commentate, and I just want to say that I mean, is this still up on the table? Is this still possible? Eric, do you accept the challenge?
I'm down. I suck, and it's going to be super embarrassing, but yeah. I'm down. Okay.
So.
I really hope that we can make this happen. If not, just to create a fun and safe learning environment, because I promise you, if you guys think that you're inexperienced, and I will say that I'm inexperienced. You're not bad. You're just inexperienced, because this this type of FPS is very, very different than other FPSs, right? I guarantee that like the majority of people that play Valorant are just like you guys. Guarantee it. You know, like CSGO and Counter-Strike isn't the most mainstream of title, and I think that this, you know, like Riot has tons of mainstream people, you know, video game fans that are playing this for the first time. Anyways, speaking of Valorant, and speaking of games that will give you motion sickness when playing, Overwatch has lost its probably most high-profile player. So Sinatra, yeah, man. So, you know, Sinatra was known for his youth. He was known for his tracer play. He had a bit of an attitude. I mean, this guy has been on TV. I think he was on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, right? Yeah, it was absolutely insane. But he left, and he is no longer playing in the Overwatch League. And honestly, here is like the big news is that he's joined Sentinels. And Sentinels is like slowly and quietly, you know, having some of the most young and most famous esports stars. They have Bugha, they now have Sinatra, and I think they have someone else too that's also really big. I forgot the exact name, but you can see their lineup now on our stream. We have Sinatra, Shaz, AMK, Zoms, and Sick. I know Zoms is super good. I've seen some of his gameplay before, but what do you guys think of this news? Do you think this is like the death knell of Overwatch League, or is this just the next chapter? Is there going to be a new group of Overwatch League players that are maybe even better than the first alumni had ever been? You know, like, what do you guys think?
I think it's just a bad look overall for Overwatch League. I mean, literally, Valorant has poached their MVP from the last season, which is pretty bad. And then when you just kind of see declining viewership, the whole thing with the commentators leaving, and that whole fallout, it's just not a great look. And yeah, I mean, I just don't hear anything. Like, they just dropped their newest hero, like 2 weeks ago, and it was like big news for a bit, and then I just kind of didn't hear anything about it. I don't know how people are like responding to the new hero super well, and it's just not as big as it once was. I mean, that's kind of what you get for a game that's been it's going to be around for like 3 years now in like June, or 4 years.
I can't believe that Overwatch is that old, because I feel as if the appeal of it is that it's new and shiny. Like still, when I think of the Overwatch League, I think, well, it's new and shiny and it's new esports, but like, not really. You know, things in esports change so quick. Kelsey, what do you think about Sinatra leaving and once again Valorant seeming to get the limelight here?
The way that I tend to look at stuff like this is more on the organization side and the more law side of things, or not law, but like contractual side of things. And people are just spending a ridiculous amount of money right now, like they do always, for just hyped up things right when it comes out, thinking we need to grab the top talent right now. And I do think that this is just Sentinels trying to make their mark and like stay relevant and stay on top of things. But the thing is, Riot came out and said there's not going to be anything competitive for probably over a year, especially in the esports division. So you're signing someone now to be a streamer. You're signing Sinatra like to do what? Like, obviously to build a brand, I guess that's what you're trying to do. But it hasn't even been enough time where it's shown, because like, as we'll talk about later in the stream about Valorant viewership and the whole drop situation, we haven't even seen the real numbers out here. We've seen the inflated ones from the almost like a advertisement of Valorant.
Of course,
But you don't know if this is just going to be a fair weather game where 1 second it's the most popular thing ever. I mean, we look at PUBG. When it came out, it was huge and everyone was playing it. We thought this is going to revolutionize these battle royale games. And then now it's still around, but it's definitely just decrease. So I think it's really foolish of a team to be throwing this much money into something that's not proven yet, even though it is fun.
So there is a quote from Sinatra himself in a tweet longer. He said that I'm straight up just lost my passion for the game. I don't know what the real a killer was for me, but maybe it was the 2-2-2, which in context he's like referring to a very stale meta in which it was 2-2 of each types of heroes. Maybe it was the 2-2-2 lock. Maybe it was bans. I'm not sure. I just know it was hard for me to log on and play, and I didn't have fun in scrims ranked at all anymore. I mean, okay, I have been writing about this for some time. However, I will say that I should have stuck up for players more, because I saw this happening during season 1. I wrote about it a lot then. I wrote about it less during season 2. But Overwatch drains players. Like, being forced to play Overwatch competitively, as long as these Overwatch League players did, it's not fun. It is not fun. Sinatra is not the first player to say this. Siegel said it. XQC said it. So many of the Dallas Fuel players have said it. Jake has indirectly said it. He's a little more PR friendly from the Houston Outlaws, so I'm quite out to say it. You have fantastic talent like a Clockwork, who has essentially said the same thing. I personally think that Kelsey made some really good points about it's crazy how people are spending so much money on these esports titles that we don't know if they're going to be big or not, right? And I think a lot of people share that sentiment. But if I had to fight back on that and kind of play the devil's advocate in saying that I think Sentinels is doing a good job on this pickup, is we have lived in like an esports world in which the worst games are major esports. Like, just full stop. Like, you know, Overwatch has never been a very good esport, ever. It's always been a fun, casual game. From the moment we all played it at BlizzCon, that's what's true. And then they forced it to be this Overwatch, this big, you know, a league, and we're like, okay, I guess I can play this game competitively. And I will say the same thing about a PUBG. I'll say the same thing about H1Z1. I'll even say the same thing about Apex Legends. These are fantastic games that are just fun to play. But the gameplay has not been tested for esports. The gameplay is monotonous for esports. And I think that's why for the past 4 years, we've seen these esports come and go. If you go kind of back in time, though, there are esports that have been around for 15 years. I mean, CSGO is still going strong because the game is good. You know, Street Fighter, the game is good. Super Smash Bros. Melee, the game is good. I can go on, but I think that Valorant has an above average chance of finally being a modern game released in the past 4 years that creates the same amount of hype and longevity. And I think it's the longevity that's really going to be the defining aspect. I mean, if you just look at Sinatra's quote, it's always the players falling out of love with the game. League of Legends doesn't have that problem. These League pros love League, and they still love League. It's still an incredible fun game to play. So I think as long as we don't see people getting burnt out at Valorant, if we still hear pros sing praise to Valorant, if we still see pros discover new things they can do in the game, new metas, if we still see that after 6 to 8 months, I think Valorant has a very, very good chance to stay. But anyways, this news is still huge. Regardless, there are going to be many, many more players like Sinatra, but let's just get it out of the way now. This is just great news for Sinatra, right? Like, I think we can all agree that, like, he's in the clear here.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't having a good time at Overwatch and this new opportunity popped up, like, I don't see why he wouldn't take it. So he said that he would, you know, it wasn't an easy decision, of course. But yeah,
I think it was. I think it was an easy decision. I think it was a very, very easy decision. That guy was making $150K a year playing in the Overwatch League, probably more. He's probably making more on sponsorships, more on streams, like and so, right? And now he can play for the hottest team in esports, Sentinels, and I would say the hottest team in young esports. Like, I say this often, and I don't want it to become a meme, but I've spoken to many high schools about esports, and the one team that they recognize is Sentinels, because Booga. Like, they know what Sentinels is because Booga. They don't know who Dignitas is. They don't know who a Cloud9 is. Well, maybe Cloud9 they do, because that's just such a popular team. But I think this is just great news for a Sinatra. Good on you. There's this new weird elite of young players getting paid tons of money, which was the exact opposite to what esports used to be. So I guess we'll just keep following a Sinatra and real. Oh, by the way, the biggest loser here is SF Shock, right? Like they're the ones who have been paying that salary, and now they just don't have them. However, I won't go on too long to this. I have heard some analysts on Twitter say that SF Shock may be a stronger team because of it. And like Sinatra's lack of
interesting.
Well, because they say his lack of a passion for the game was showing, and maybe in scrims things were different. So, anyways, that being said, moving on to our next topic, we're going to talk more about Valorant. So apparently, Valorant's anti-cheat drama or news hasn't quite stopped yet. Eric, do you want to outline this for us? Can you want to kind of start us on this one?
Yeah, so we've basically been covering it for the past week or two on the podcast, but it's been this whole thing where people are unhappy that Valorant's anti-cheat program is basically in complete control of their computer at all times, whether the game's running or not. And now Riot's basically just rolling it back and saying that they can disable it whenever they want, but players do still need to have it operating in the background when they are playing the game. So apparently it's been very severe backlash overall that they had to come across and make this decision. So
and it's kind of like a PR win because they were able to at least say they're doing something about it, but I really don't think the outcry is going to stop. I mean, they're not really changing anything, right? Like, it's still there, and it's still like, sure, you can disable it, but I don't think the majority of players will. I don't think the majority of players is even reading this article. The majority of players don't even know about the very core issue. So it's like,
well, then and then they will continue to not care, and it will continue to not be a problem for them. But the people that do care, I mean, this seems like a solution to exactly what they're complaining about.
Yes, but I think it's still a very tempting thing for hackers, right? Like still, if I was a hacker, and I'm not, wink, wink. No, I'm kidding. No, of course not. But like, I would see this news and be like, oh, great. All the people that did care about security, they're disabling it. So now I have a whole new victim base of people who don't even care at all, right? Like, wasn't that the first initial thing that Valorant and Riot has so much confidence that this thing isn't going to be hacked, that they are going to, threaten our computers? Kelsey, what do you think about the fact that you playing Valorant, you have installed on your computer something that if a hacker had access to, he or she would have access to your entire computer? How does that make you feel?
I mean, obviously it's a security issue for sure. I think everybody would feel a little bit upset if they got hacked, obviously. I don't tend to keep too much on my computer, though, that is super confidential. Like, I don't keep my social security number and whatnot. Obviously, that would be something, but I feel like it's just I don't know what Riot's thinking process was kind of through all this and
well, obviously security, right? I mean, they wanted this to be as secure as possible, and in search of that, they kind of maybe played fast and loose with people's privacy. Eric, do you think this is a privacy concern? Because you seem to be happy with this. You seem that this is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't really play Valorant all that much, so it's not really affecting me. But yeah, I mean, this seems fun. I mean, what else is Riot supposed to do at this point? This seems like the biggest thing that they can do.
Yeah.
Unless they're gonna just completely remake their whole anti-cheat program, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That League uses something that's very similar to this as well, so they probably have to alter that a bit. And I don't know. This seems like a fair compromise overall. But
There was a video I watched about this topic, and the guy was explaining why this whole thing's an issue. He was explaining it to like laymen like me, why you need to care. And he said that you can avoid all this by having just a standalone PC that's just for games. Like, you don't do anything about it. It's like just for games. It's literally internet connection and games. Now, obviously, that's like pretty impractical. Not like many people have that. But it is an interesting glimpse into the future, because if games keep getting more popular, and the hackers trying to hack into these games get more and more advanced, then it's almost as if the most protected a consumer can be is to do that very same solution, which is kind of what console games have been doing forever. You just have this machine just designed to play games, but that's probably way too inconvenient to ever catch on. But in theory, it is the way to be the absolute safest when gaming. So I guess we will just continue to follow this Valorant anti-cheat story. If you guys remember last time, we did report on a bounty, right? There was like, how high was the bounty? $10,000?
It's $100,000.
$100,000. There's a $100,000 bounty if someone can hack this. That's, Riot's going to cash the check. So yeah, I guess no one has claimed it yet, right?
Well,
yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
I haven't heard anything. Yeah, I feel like someone would have spoken up by now if they did get $100,000 for breaking the anti-cheat program.
Well, I do know that there are people hard at work on that. Actually, when we kind of released that story onto esports Twitter, there are some pretty notable source engine hackers that responded, and they were like, "Yes, sir. I'm ready to work," and they were really okay. This is it. So there are people actively trying to break it, and if you do break it, please DM me. I would love that story. You can DM me at Nick D'Orazio 3RD. Moving forward, we got so much Valorant news, but it's once again Valorant in hot water. So before we kind of go on to this beta key controversy, by the way, shout outs to Kotaku for this article. What do you guys think about this? Have you been annoyed with all of the drops enabled spam on Twitch lately? Do you think this is as big of an issue as people are making it?
I mean, I don't know who the victims in this situation is necessarily. I mean, I know that, they're on the streaming ends, people have kind of been doing their 24-hour streams where they'll put like VODs up or something to prolong the activity on their channel. And then on the viewer side, people will just stay in there clicking away at the little bit, the channel point generator. But I don't know, like, who's really like losing in this situation? Is it just because like numbers are being inflated and that looks like shifty and shaky? But so, I don't know. I don't really get it.
So full disclosure, the Inven Global team has got our access to Valorant beta straight from Riot. So haha, thanks you, Riot. We really appreciate it. So maybe we're a little biased because we didn't have to farm these Twitch streams for drops, right? But I'm sure we all have friends who really wanted to get in, and these drops were the only way in. Kelsey,
I mean, honestly, at this point, they should just make it open data. Like, I feel like everyone that wanted to get in is in already. Like, it's not like a hard thing to do. So I don't know why it has to be like this exclusive thing that Riot has to like mandate and like check that actually like send an email in or whatever. But yeah.
So just to quote Twitch in their official announcement, I guess, trying to address this spamming of 24/7 drops enable streams. They said that while we've heard concerns about creators continuously streaming VODs while tagging the channel as live to farm Valorant drops, this harms the integrity of our drops program, so we've updated our community guidelines to clarify that cheating any Twitch reward systems is prohibited. So obviously this is, I guess, good news, but I would question Twitch. I mean, cheating? I'm not really sure this is like cheating. Like, this is the system that you kind of made. This is kind of the environment that you created. You said if you enter the stream and then spam it, then you will get drops. And I've actually heard too that like part of why this whole drops thing was so harmful is at first not every single Valorant channel had drops enabled. That was a thing. And that was very, very hard for pretty much anyone who wanted to stream Valorant who weren't in like the top 20. Kelsey, have you heard about any of maybe your friends that play Valorant or anyone that you know streaming Valorant? Have you heard anyone complain about this situation in which the top streamers are, getting all the views because of drops, and now the whole Twitch Valorant section being spammed?
I mean, honestly, from what I know, and I don't know too much on the topic because I've never seen a problem with it, so I haven't really like done the research where I've been like, oh, like this is something that I really want to know about, because right now it just seems like everyone's just complaining. It's like, wow, I'm not getting enough viewers because of Valorant. Like, I don't know really what to tell you at that point. Like, if you're playing Minecraft and you're complaining because you have only 30 viewers when you usually have 60 because half of them are watching a new game that just came out, that's pretty exciting to watch coming from someone who doesn't usually watch FPS games. Like, I don't know what to tell you at that point. It just had like, people saying like, oh yeah, their livelihood is being hurt, like their income is being hurt. Well, I don't like, I feel like it's insensitive to say, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, like obviously the VOD thing is kind of annoying, I guess, if you're a top streamer and you're just constantly playing VODs, but it also, I feel like, should push the smaller streamers that maybe are affected to this to try and revamp their stream, be something different and be more creative. So you get viewership. When we were talking on the, or I was listening on the IGEC broadcast for last week, we were talking about being a creative streamer and like how you have to identify yourself as this certain type of brand to be watchable. You can't just be playing Jane up here. And maybe you can and that works, but for most streamers that doesn't work. So it's like, if you're not getting views, it's not because someone's playing a VOD. It's because you're maybe not the most watchable person compared. So it's like, it should push you instead of making you upset.
So I actually have, so I'm a mod in Grubby's chat. All of the Grubsters out there, shout outs. I've been a mod in this chat for God how many years. Grubby is not only my favorite heroes of the Storm player and caster, but he's a Warcraft 3 legend, right? And believe it or not, there was a time in which the heroes of the Storm community were quite annoyed with Grubby because he was the top heroes of the Storm streamer by far. And when he went to sleep in the European time zone where he lives, all of his North American viewers would never get to watch him, right? So he started playing his VODs on rerun, and it was totally fine because he, clearly labeled them as this is just a VOD, this is just a rerun, but they would get tons of views in terms of the smaller heroes of the Storm community. And there was the same group of people who thought that was very unfair. They said it's very unfair that you're essentially dominating the consumer base all the time, even when you're not working. And this VOD that you're just playing with the push of a button is, stopping my stream from being popular. And when that happened, then I didn't think it made much sense because I'm like, well, no, if someone wants to watch Grubby, they'll just watch a broadcast. Like, I'm not watching your stream because I would rather watch Grubby. And I think that there is a lot of strength to that argument, right? Like, at the end of the day, we all choose to watch who we want to watch. But I do think that Twitch was going a little counterintuitive towards their own platform by having the drops enabled be such a core part of Valorant's, unveiling. Like, because people weren't watching the streams. People just wanted beta access. That's it. And like the fact that it essentially, I can't think of a way to boost the viewership numbers like artificially of a game's release than ever. And I don't want to be that guy, but if there's some business people at Riot who are maybe just a little, okay with touting those numbers without exact context, you can give off the impression that, oh my God, look, the beta of this game was the most watched game. Was it really watched? Were people watching it, or were they just farming for drops? So yeah. So I don't know, Eric. I think obviously we're going to see more of this. If I was making a competitor AAA game, I would look at what Valorant did, and I'd say, well, we need this. We need to have drops enabled. Do you think this is something that Twitch is going to do like in the future because it was so successful, or do you think the negative player perspective, like, do you think the like negative feedback is just too much?
No, I mean, I think Twitch is just going to keep on doing this. I mean, just reading through this article, it seems like it was just kind of a blanket statement that they're not happy that the integrity of their system has been compromised or whatever, but they haven't like outlined, how they're going to enforce this, exactly what you need to be doing to break these guidelines. And I mean, all in all, it just helps Twitch partner with these huge developers because they can basically say, hey, we can ensure views of your game because we'll have drops going, and that works for them. It works for the publishers and developers really well. And I mean, Twitch is king in this situation, so they're just gonna do whatever they want until a third party comes in, but I don't even know who that would be. So yeah, I think it's gonna be the same. And like I said, I don't think this is actually hurting anybody in the long run. I mean, I think the people that are really going to make it in this space will rise above all of this in the long run anyway. So that's just my initial thought on the whole thing.
Well, and it's a great advertising strategy. Like, this has been one of the most successful launches, I think, of any game, and it's only in beta. And so it's a great model. I do think there can be room for improvement, but I doubt we'll see the last of this. It might start being abused a little bit too much. But also, if you don't have a good game, it doesn't matter if there's good drops, or if there's free drops. Like, if you're not going to want to play, then it doesn't matter.
That is true to say. The hype of Valorant is based around its gameplay and the fact that people like it.
That being said, I can definitely see this being the first step in like a kind of a snowball effect where this does get very predatory, very not with the community's interest at heart, not with the streamers' interest in hearts, just solely for Twitch's filling their pockets and everything. And then I think that's when it's going to start being a problem, when the community kind of turns against them as well. So,
and veteran streamers, I believe it was Shroud, went on a pretty nice rant. He was you can find that clip somewhere. He went on a pretty big rant about how much he hates it and how it's just a bunch of AFKers. It's not streaming, like he is a streamer. He takes that job seriously. He's a professional, and the fact that people are essentially doing his job and with the click of a button, the whole thing is crazy. But anyways, moving on, we got more drama in the world of esports. This time we look towards Super Smash Brothers. So one thing that has been the silver lining of all of this COVID stuff is online tournaments, right? Online tournaments have always been a possibility for pretty much any game, but the need for them and the yearn for them hasn't really been so high. But now we see tons of online tournaments, but we also see problems. So Pound 2020, if you're familiar with Smash Brothers, Pound is a very unpopular tournament series that holds a lot of clout, holds a lot of value. Well, they put on an online event. There is a $5,000 prize pool, but a controversy happened. So apparently there's a DQ that happened after a lag test, and even though the player was up 2-0, he was DQ'd twice. And then, Eric, can you please outline why the Smash community hated this so much? Why this was so much drama?
Yeah, so I mean, it just kind of it put like a spotlight back on the fact that Smash Online has never been good. It's like from day one, it is just not good. The input lag is ridiculous. I think it's like 5 frames or something, 6 frames maybe of input lag, which is awful. And I know Nintendo is never been at the forefront of online multiplayer connectivity. If you look at like any of their competitive titles, but yeah, I mean that's what kind of kept me out of online, despite me kind of wanting to get in, test a couple characters out. Because mostly, when I boot up the game now, it's just to play against like CPUs for a couple matches and then hop out. But yeah, it's the connectivity problems that it just feels like you need to. It's like you're playing 2 different games, like online and offline, basically.
Oh, everyone knows that with Smash Brothers. There's
Yeah.
online characters and there's offline characters. My online
Yeah.
characters are Ganondorf and Bowser, and it's completely different.
Yeah. So you kind of have to pick a side, basically. You know, are you gonna completely rely on online, and that's where you're gonna get all your fun from? That's what you want to put all your time into. You know, just getting used to all this input lag, or are you just gonna be an offline boy and just play with friends when they're over, or parties and stuff. And then, I mean, besides that, it's just like apparently, even if your opponent use like online and stuff, it still negatively affects your ranking in some cases, which seems absolutely busted, stupid.
So part of a little more context, the player Grayson was already up 2-0 against this other player, Cosmos. And even though Grayson passed all of the internet tests that the tournament had, Grayson had a ping of 26, download speed of 34.76, and an upload speed of 10.82 megabits per second. So this is fast internet, right? This person was ready to compete, and still he was DQ'd. So, Kelsey, this next question, I think you would have some pretty good insight on, and pretty interesting insight on. So the hashtag Fix Ultimate Online was trending as a result of this. Nearly 10,000 tweets voicing their complaints, voicing their frustrations as to why one of the largest fighting games and arguably Nintendo's most successful and popular franchise has such horrible online connectivity. So do you think that this type of social media demonstration, do you think this will have any effect? Do you really think that 10,000 tweets trending on Twitter is going to make Nintendo fix their online? Or do you think it's just a lost cause?
I mean, has Riot fixed its client yet?
Oh,
doesn't seem so.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a million other problems they need to figure out and stuff like that, and it doesn't. I don't know. Social media is kind of like there can be some social movements from it that do create really good things, but a lot of these causes, in my opinion, are kind of like that angry man yells at cloud meme.
Yeah.
Where it's just like you're yelling into the void, where it's like, okay, they see this stuff, and obviously there's some people, like for example with not games, but the Sonic movie. Everyone on Twitter was like, what the heck is this, when the first trailer came out, and they were like, this is not what we want. This is the exact opposite. This looks awful. And they listened to that, came out with actually a pretty great movie. I haven't seen it yet, but from everyone that I have talked to that has seen it says it's great. And so that kind of constructive criticism can be taken in a way, but when you put it into a game developer sense, it's a lot more complicated than just reshooting a movie. It's going through the code, fixing all those things, and that can take months, and they might be continually working on it, but saying we're working on it doesn't help with the general population. They're like, well, we want it now, and it's like, well, that's not how things work. So,
and also too, I think especially when you're talking about Nintendo, esports is relatively small compared to the larger game industry, right? Nintendo does not make its a Smash Brothers a bottom dollar off of the competitive crowd, just full stop, right? The amount of people playing online, and they're totally fine with it, or they don't even think about complaining about it, or the type of maneuvers they're trying to do has nothing to do with lag, vastly outnumbers the type of people who are complaining about this. So I think that Nintendo has always been able to pretty much ignore what the competitive community says because of this fact. It is somewhat ironic that despite this, Nintendo has one of the most thriving, one of the oldest esports scenes with some of the most important influencers within esports. I think Hungrybox has just put on his own tournament series, and he's partnered up with this real celebrity. Didn't he partner with some athlete or something? But he's having his own tournament series, and like, you know, that's only because he's very good at Super Smash Bros. Melee. There is a big thing of irony in that Nintendo, for how much it has hated the competitive scene, did the correct thing in essentially leaving it alone. This is exactly what Riot is doing with Valorant. They're just leaving it alone. They're letting the third-party people create their own tournament. So, I don't know. I think that in a perfect world, Nintendo would just hire someone to really advocate internally for esports. I'm sure that person does exist. I'm sure that there are some really passionate people that work for Nintendo of America, and they're constantly trying to... But, man, something as massive as trying to fix the online infrastructure of a game like Smash Brothers is probably... Yeah. We're probably not going to see that for a very long time.
I'm just saying, if we can't get like Capcom to introduce rollback netcode, I don't think Nintendo's going to be messing with that anytime soon. So, I mean, even the Guilty Gear Strive beta went on like 2 weeks ago, and they're going to have rollback netcode, but the beta didn't use rollback netcode, so it was going off of like this shitty input lag and everything, and apparently it was like a really bad test overall, so I don't know what they were thinking with that.
We do know that on Project L from Riot, their fighting game is probably going to have some amazing netcode, right? I don't think this is going to be something that they're going to mess up. I know, again, in the beginning of this, I was talking about how I've been playing Street Fighter Third Strike on GGPO. I'm not even going to begin to understand the technical aspects of that. All I know is that it's lagless fighting games, and I haven't played that since I was in Japan. So I'm the hugest advocate for fixing Ultimate online. I hope it happens, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So part of the last things we're going to be talking about is actually probably the biggest news. So who here saw the Travis Scott Fortnite concert?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see
it? Either.
Oh my god!
Seen clips.
I heard about it.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay. So clips. I'll say clips. I didn't see it. I wasn't in game. I'm not logging into Fortnite, but yeah, it was actually, in my opinion, incredible. This was something just as cool, I think, as their Marshmallow concerts. And when that happens, I was over the moon about that. I was writing about that, saying how it's one of the most important things that ever happened to gaming, and I actually think this is too. The amount of eyeballs, I think this broke records. I think this was the most... Yeah.
For sure. On Twitch. Broke streaming records, I believe.
And I even think this broke just like viewership records of any concert. Like, I'm pretty sure this was the most viewed thing ever. I wish that I was in any way prepared for this show. It was almost as if I could have had these numbers on deck. But I just think that whatever they were doing at Fortnite, they're doing it very, very well. So, Kelsey, what do you think about this whole Travis Scott Fortnite thing?
I do think that Fortnite, at least right now, is the leader in in-game content that they've put out. Yeah, I remember I actually did log in to watch I was watching the Marshmallow concert on Twitch when it was happening, because I think it was streamed on Twitch. And I thought it was great. And when I saw the VODs on the Travis Scott concert, it looks amazing, and they did a great job. No matter how we might feel about the actual game itself and the community behind it, they've always done so many things with influencers and really paved a way of making that cross collab of content that I think a lot of people should start integrating into their gaming platforms. Obviously it's a bit different because it's more of like an open world than something like Summoner's Rift. Like, you can't really just throw Travis Scott in the middle of the jungle and call that a success. But I do think that the creative minds behind Fortnite are really being utilized, and I wish we could see those people spread their ideas to different games. But with that being said, I think it only works for a certain type of platform, like battle royales. That's perfect, or some kind of online gaming platform like that. But
I mean, MMOs. I mean, what about MMOs? That's that was my first instinct. Can you imagine if Blizzard was even close to being as forward thinking as someone like Epic, right? Like they had a million opportunities to do something like this, but of course, obviously, it would have never worked, right? They would have had to have like Bruce Springsteen or something if you're trying to capture the World of Warcraft audience. I think, Kelsey, you hinted on a somewhat negative like reputation of Fortnite among the esports community, and I think that honestly, like that's very, very boomerish. I think are boomers. I think anyone who in any way, shape, or form looks at Fortnite as anything negative, and I will say it myself, I am a boomer. I can't get over the dances. I can't get over how stupid it all is. I can't get over how young the player base is. It's just not for me, right? But when I see stuff like Astronomical and Travis Scott, it makes me realize, oh, wait a minute, Blizzard are dinosaurs. Like all the games I like they're dinosaurs. They're not even close to doing what online gaming can do. The potential of online gaming, the potential of turning your game into essentially a marketplace in which you can advertise anything you want. I mean, they could have sold concert tickets to this, and they will one day, right? It's absolutely incredible, and I think to just like, I will have to give praise to Epic until they mess up. I do think that they messed up with Fortnite esports. I will always say that they should have never even tried to make Fortnite esports. I think it's just the wrong direction. I think this is a much better direction, because I think at its core, the gameplay of Fortnite cannot actually create a long-lasting esport. Let's all remember that Fortnite used to be a tower defense game. Fortnite was this random, obscure game in which, hey, build a fort and protect yourself against zombies. I actually remember me and my friends were wanting to buy it when we just saw the trailer, like, oh yeah, this sounds fun, guys. We can play against AI zombies. So this team has always been quick to pivot. Mm-hmm. They pivoted to a Battle Royale super quick, and then they saw huge success. And I think the fact that we see them pivoting now, I mean, this is something I've been saying forever. Gameplay doesn't matter. Like, in many ways, when you're at this level of mainstream consumer esports, the gameplay doesn't matter. You can put on a Travis Scott halftime show. I mean, just wait until the next Fortnite World Cup has a halftime show that's better than the Super Bowl. It's going to happen. And this halftime show is going to be in-game, and it's going to feature all these sponsors. And I bet we're going to get, I'm calling it now, we're going to get a Nicki Minaj avatar that's performing live, and it's going to be amazing. So I personally think that this whole Travis Scott Fortnite thing is great. And I guess to end the podcast on something I try to do, wins and fails, I'm just going to say that this is my win. This is my win of esports for like the month. I think that Travis Scott is by far the most popular rapper in the world right now, because more young kids and more Fortnite little teeny boppers are doing the Travis Scott dance, and it's just great. So there you go. There's my rant. There's my rant why I think Fortnite is doing just amazing things.
Yeah.
Eric, what will it take for you to watch a Fortnite event in game?
Oh man, I don't know. What would it take?
What if someone like Metallica played, and it was this amazing thing?
Why do you think I like Metallica?
I'm just throwing it out there. What band do you like? Because I love Metallica. If Metallica played this, you better believe I'd be downloading Fortnite. 100%.
If my boy Mick Jenkins was in Fortnite, I'd watch Fortnite.
Yes, Mick Jenkins. Okay, Kelsey, I'll ask the same question for you. What will it take for Epic to get your download and you will watch the next Epic concert?
I think it doesn't really matter who's necessarily playing or performing. Mm-hmm. I think it's more the creative side. Like the creative liberties they use with the Travis Scott performance, I think is outstanding. And I would love that. Like, I'm huge into EDM and that kind of side of things. And so it is about the performance, but it's mainly about the atmosphere that they put you in. Yeah. And just like how you are, like how it just reaches you. And it's like not so much about the person, but it's about the music. And so, some creative type of movie in game, or something where it takes you on a ride in game, something like that would be really interesting for me.
I agree. All right, well, I'm Epic. I'm waiting. This Metallica concert it's going to be great. All right, guys, this has been super fun. Let me just ask you guys, is there anything that you are looking forward to playing next week? You know, what are you guys going to be doing in the world of esports and gaming? And Eric, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to finishing Final Fantasy VII. Looking to do that by like Friday, so I can give some thoughts on the next podcast. Spoiler free, of course.
I want it to be spicy.
Yeah, I just bought Alien Isolation on sale for like $2 this weekend, so I kind of want to hop into that. I hear it's really good, and I just bought Dark Souls Remastered on PS4.
How are you? Oh, of course. I was like, wait, how are you buying all these games? You're just buying them online, of course.
Yeah, I was a physical boy up until quarantine, and now I'm like, oh, it's so much easier to just digital it up.
They say that the number one increase in consumer habits has been online grocery stores. Number two has been video games. So yes, I think many other people are also learning that it's easier to buy games online.
Like I upgraded my Switch so it can actually hold more than like 2 games at a time, and now I got like Animal Crossing, and I don't have to switch out like cartridges when I want to go back to like stuff. It's just a good time. And I just have so much clutter now with like all my game cases and stuff. I just can't. I have limited space right now, so.
I feel that. So Kelsey, what about you? What plans do you have for the horizon?
Well, I'm excited to continue playing Valorant, but what I'm really excited for is Scouting Grounds coming up in the next month or so for League of Legends. So I'm going to be watching that intently, and like the last MVP for the split, Blabber, came from Scouting Grounds, like not recently, like in the last couple of years, but he was talent that came out of there. So you never know who's going to be in that lineup, and it might be the next MVP. So I'm excited to watch. Yeah,
and also I heard that you were doing something on Friday at 2 p.m. at Twitch.tv.
Oh yeah, I guess I am. So
is there anything you want to shout out?
I will be moderating our IGEC social media panel with some people that I respect immensely. So I'm super excited.
So I'm not going to be on the panel. Is what she's saying.
Whoa. Nick gave me the graces to moderate. I would do a great job, but I guess you can do it.
No. Are you kidding me? Kelsey is giving me a day off. I cannot wait. It's going to be an awesome panel. I guess what am I going to be doing next week? You know what? This sounds crazy, but I've been deep cleaning my apartment. It's been really nice. I was in my kitchen on my hands and knees with scrubs and soap and bubbles, and I was just deep cleaning it, and it felt very nice. Afterwards, I dried it with a hair dryer and a nice towel, and it's all sparkly, and man, I really feel great. So as crazy as it sounds, my dad told me a quote that I love. He says, Nick, like you're getting older, you will become a Hank Hill faster than you even believe. And man, that may be too old of a reference. Hank Hill, right? Like, we know who Hank Hill is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was going to say. So anyways, I feel as if, yes, I am going to deep clean the rest of my apartment. That's probably what I'm going to do after this. I'm going to go and try to get my carpet. I have a big rug that needs to be cleaned. And I guess for video games, Street Fighter Third Strike. I cannot wait for someone with an Inven Global to challenge me at this game. No one will, but when it happens, I cannot wait. With that said, guys, this has been episode 14 of the Inven Global Podcast. You can find us and all of our content at invenglobal.com, or you can just find us on Twitter at Inven Global. We also have an Instagram, a Facebook, and you know what? We have a LinkedIn too. If you want to connect with us on LinkedIn, you can check us out at Inven Global. You can follow me at Nick D'Orazio 3RD. You can follow Eric at Winko Stainless, WINKO Stainless. He has no stains on him. And Eric, do you promise to post something on social media?
No, I gotta keep my social media page stainless.
No, come on, man, come on. Listen, every week I tell people to follow you, and you have to post something. And then, of course, you can follow Kelsey, our special guest. Oh, first of all, Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. This was a really fun time. I'm glad I could participate.
So, Kelsey, where can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me at Kelsey Remige, my name KelseyRemige on Twitch. Actually, not Twitch anymore. I just changed my handle to Kelso, so it's
Oh, Kelso, nice.
Super excited about that. Hopefully, I can get my Twitter and Instagram to that as well.
Yeah.
But no, I'm on Snapchat. I'm on TikTok. I make some pretty cringe ones. So
Nice. Cringe.
yeah,
Me too.
I love the cringe.
I'm just a walking bag of cringe. Everyone who works with me knows that.
King of cringe.
I'm the
yeah.
king of cringe.
basically.
Well, this is the king of cringe signing off. Thank you guys so much. This has been episode 14. I'll talk to you guys next episode. Thanks again. Signing out. Bye-bye. Oh, last thing. Shout outs to HyperX, our fantastic sponsor. These mics, every single one of our team has these mics, and they're fantastic. You can just mute them. Look. See, you can mute with the tap of a button. It's so nice. So, shout outs to HyperX. You make these streams possible. Now, with that said, I am signing off. So, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.